Welcome to the Craftsman interview. I am Jim Connell, and I'm here with my friend Dimitri Kallianis of the Shanty. Dimitri, you guys have a lot of really cool stuff going on, a big expansion. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we are in our 10th year this year at the Shanty, and we are starting a really large expansion starting in the next few months here. We're actually out for bid process right now to get all the numbers together to start the project. We are keeping the current space of the Shanty exactly the way it is. We don't want to take away why people have liked coming here for nearly a century. We expanded the restaurant in 2010 by adding another dining room and a waiting area and a bigger kitchen and more parking, and also adding Captain Porky's, which is also owned by my family and operated by my dad, my brother, and my sister. That's also going to be expanding as well. So Captain Porky's is going to be adding seating, another secondary kitchen for off-site banquet and on-site banquet. And we are expanding the Shanty with a upstairs banquet with panoramic glass overlooking the forest preserve, and a bar area, and underground wine cellar, and another kitchen, and all this crazy stuff. So we're really, really excited about it. And we are happy and proud to say that we are using materials that are as old or older than the existing space which we're in right now. So.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that, because I understand that the wood and all the construction materials, or most of the construction materials that you're using, come from like a 10-mile radius or something?
Yeah. So, for example, here, every color in the wall that you see in the existing space is a different property, a different family, a different farm. From the tables to the floors to the walls, the bricks outside, all the Captain Porky's inside. A lot of the materials that we're using for decorative stuff when you walk in, from the church pews out of local churches. All the barn wood that is built the restaurant in 2010 is coming from a barn within a 10-mile radius of the restaurant.
Sweet.
So, really awesome.
When you say on the front of the restaurant it says "Built by the People," so that's what that means.
Yeah. So "Built by the People" was actually, that sign is made out of hand-carved barnwood too, local barnwood. But "Built by the People" is something that I feel has given the restaurant longevity and really become the face of the restaurant. So from the menu design, we're on our 11th menu now in 10 years. And I would say 80% of the menu has been customer inspired. Our chef, Brad Trowbridge, does an awesome job. And his crew and our staff does an absolute great job, but the customers are really the main focus of what we do here. And between the building materials coming from the community and the influence they've had on our menu and our growth and all the charity events we do, it's very fitting that it's built by the people.
That's great. I get it. From a marketing standpoint, you guys do a great job. So talk a little bit about what's influenced you in the past. How does that all come about? How do you think that through?
I don't know if I think it through. It just kind of, I don't know, just kind of comes. As you're working, and when you're in the trenches and you're working every day, 15, 20 hours a day, just kind of is part of the identity of what you're doing. And the marketing kind of comes in with that. So I think the thing with marketing is just storytelling. I'm just told you this story about the wood. I'm telling you about our menu. The storytelling aspect of what we do with our Olive Company and with Captain Porky's and the Shanty is basically just an honest approach of what we offer. And I think that's gone away with restaurants in general over the last 10, 15 years. I mean, you're looking at 80% of the restaurants in the country are franchise ran now. So you don't have that, small town feel, that story anymore. And I think that's what the charm of the Shanty has been. This building is 110 years old. The original, which we're sitting in now, was a chicken coop. Maury's Midway Tavern in the 1930s. Shelley's before it was the Shanty, and then Joyce Shelley, who was the creator of the name and the business, the Shanty, 1971, and she operated until 1982, and a gentleman named Bob Stahl and Gary Schultz took over from there, and then we purchased in 2006. So the restaurant, went through some great years and some great cycles and a lot of hard work from previous owners. And I think with me, I was 22 years old when I came in, and I think it was just time for a fresher approach. And with the food, we took the fresher approach, and with the actual building, we actually remodeled with older materials that the shanty was. So we kind of went backwards with that and, you know, forward with the food.
Well, tell me a little bit about, so it's your 10-year anniversary with the shanty. How did that come about? I mean, you know, I know your dad, and it was really a foregone conclusion that you were going to be an entrepreneur, right? Because I know your grandpa, your uncle, your uncles, George, Buddy, your grandfather, like I said, your dad. What were you doing at the time that you got word that the shanty was available? How'd that all happen?
So I graduated from Warren High School,
Okay.
went to Southern Illinois for 2 years, transferred to Milwaukee for 2 years. That's where I graduated from. And I was actually an art major. I was not a business major. So a lot of people think that's kind of crazy, but
it makes sense to me.
Majored in art. I actually learned more about business in my art classes than I did in my business classes. I did minor in business communications. The thing with the art classes is the classmates that I was working with and dealing with and, you know, creating with on a daily basis was a three-dimensional art and ceramics and painting and oil on canvas. These guys were so into, you know, their craft, and they would take it all the way to the end, and they really believed in what they were doing. And I believe if you look at the shanty from the outside level or really look into it, it's pretty much how I've approached the restaurant business. I approached this wall is the same way I did my art project. I approached the menu the same way. I'm approaching this entire building the same way. We have church steeples that are coming out of churches from Europe. We have stained glass coming out of Mississippi churches. And we're tying this old world stone and brick and barnwood and this artistic Midwestern old world place. It's going to be crazy. So I'm really excited about it. So so it's all these different things that intertwine, but the dynamic and the way that I'm looking at it is the same way that I approach my art projects in school. So when I went to Milwaukee, to answer your question, I got a call from my father, who had Captain Porky's in a different location, which is also celebrating its 30th year this year, next door. And he basically said the shanty, there's a potential that it could be for sale. What do you think? And I really had never been here before, so I drove by all the time, you know, growing up in the area, but I never actually came physically inside the building. So I came and looked at it, and I remember actually waiting in the parking lot, you know, coming back from college at 8 o'clock, and after class, waiting in the parking lot, looking at how busy it was, and you know, all this kind of crazy stuff, which nobody really knows about. And then I met the owner, Bob Stahl, who was a great guy, and you know, he had a 25-year run with the restaurant, and he was an electrician, so he wanted to kind of continue with that. And met everyone. And I came in, and the place was weathered. You know, there's no doubt about it. But there was a lot of great local people, a lot of people that really wanted the place to take it to that next level, and I felt comfortable. You know, that was the thing. I really felt comfortable in the space. So I think that feeling that I had when I first came in is what we've excelled and kind of, you know, grown out to, and the quaintness and, like, you know, the ceiling being this tall, that all is the feel that you get when you come to the restaurant, and that's why it's so important that we don't damage that feeling. So we're going to keep this feeling and go into this other really cool feeling that I think people are going to enjoy. And
the expansion is going to be connected in some way to this building, correct?
Yeah, I know it's the shanty. Everything will be the shanty, but panoramic glass overlooking the forest preserve and an outdoor seating area. We're adding in 111 additional car parking to what we currently have, so we have parking to sustain everything that we want to do. So, I mean, I think the visual of the nature that you're going to be able to see with the forest reserve and the tree lines and the ponds,
beautiful, man,
and this old world feel, and the food, and with 2 more kitchens, you know, we're going to be able to produce way more than we are now. I think we have a great menu now, but we're really going to push the envelope with the creativity, and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be awesome.
It's awesome. Tell me a little bit about this tower, the church tower.
Yeah, so the church tower is I'm fascinated with church architecture. So I love all church architecture. If I could live in a church, I would. My wife won't let me, but if I could live in a church, I would live in a church. Not the religious part of it, but just, you know,
Sure.
the feel of a church when you get into this whole tall, you know, old world
Absolutely.
experience. So the church tower is, my dad is from, was born in Sparta, Greece. And in our village, we have a church that's in these two valleys in the historic district of Sparta where our olive oil company is.
Okay.
And there's this main church that has this really large bell tower. So if you're in the fields, you know, picking olives, or you're working, or in your houses, or you're in the, you know, the center of town, this has also been a focal point of this town.
Okay.
So whether the bell rings, or the time, or the look, or the feel, or the sight of it. So it's kind of tying that experience as a little kid going there in with this Midwestern barn culture, mixed with this, you know, love for church architecture, and that's really, really neat.
That's cool.
So,
It's going to have a bell in it?
oh, it's gonna have a bell, a real bell, a real deal bell.
All right.
Yeah, full-blown bell out of a church that's, you know, 120 years old.
Oh, man.
So.
That's great. And the Mississippi, the stained glass.
Stained glass.
How did you source that?
So we bought the place in 2006, and in 2006 until 2010, I was sourcing materials for the expansion. And right after we were done with this in 2010, I started sourcing materials for this expansion.
Okay.
So it's been a long road of, you know, really calculated thinking of everything and how all these parts and pieces play together. And the big thing is paying respect to the town. You know,
Yeah.
It's an equestrian town. You know, village of country living is the motto of Wadsworth. So it's very important as a restaurant owner, as basically a resident. I live right in the area. My brother does too. That we pay respect to what the town has been for many years, and also taking that into the future with our cuisine, but keeping that old world feel.
Yeah, Wadsworth is a great town. I mean, it's one of those. It's almost a throwback, where, you know, time is marching on and technology is changing a lot of things. And a town like Wadsworth, I know St. Pat's is a big sort of an anchor, if you will, in the community. And I just love the vibe here. It's still. Because of people like you, it's really hung on to that vibe, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and it's very attractive as far as, you know, when you're choosing where to live.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think with us too is our challenge is that there's not a lot of people in Wadsworth. So you have to sustain a restaurant like we've done, and we've been fortunate to grow every year with a lot of hard work from our staff and our chef and, you know, our kitchen staff and our family and our patron support. But it's important that we have to continue to grow the brand, because we don't have a lot of people here. We're surrounded by a lot of forest reserve. We have very limited houses. The people are the guts of this business. You know, the residents are really the heart and soul behind the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I think what's nice is that we have people traveling from all over the country coming in, and, you know, they're driving 45 minutes on the weekend, hour and a half on the weekend to have dinner here. So for us, it's our obligation. It's not, you know, we have to have a good meal for them. We have to do our best to do what we can, and in that comes space, which we need,
Right.
and being able to actually physically put these people who are trying to support you in the building and give them the best meal we can.
Well, yeah, and your execution is everything, right? But you're expanding your offerings for the community, so that's really cool. You know, the sidewalk out front, when we talk about sourcing material and so much of it coming from a 10-mile radius, I thought that was fascinating. That's brick from Sheridan Road.
Yeah, that's Sheridan Road brick, and that is really neat. That's also coming from a local excavator. Campanella and Sons have been very tied into the community for years and years and years, and Temple Smith, the Temple Farms family, has done a ton of stuff for us. If you look at the beams outside of Porky's, that's from them. And we just have a really, really tight relationship with everyone in the area. And we're very fortunate. You know, they're very supportive of us. And the thing, too, is with the Shanty is that it's been way before my time. You know, it's been a special place to them. It's been especially for four generations now, 5 generations. Yeah. You know, I see people that come in now, they're, you know, in their late 60s. And they remember the first time they came in after church with a tie on to have Sunday morning breakfast.
Right.
So all these stories and things is what keeps me motivated, and to kind of give back and put our twists and our belief on the restaurant. And so far, so good. I think it's gone pretty good.
That's great. Well, you know, your grandpa and your uncle Buddy I used to work on a beer truck way back when. And I love business, and I love to observe people in business, and especially your grandfather. He just by observation or osmosis of being around people like him, it's just really inspirational, and I really admire him a lot, because I remember going in and delivering product, and he always had a suit or a jacket on.
Still
his brain was like a computer. He could tell you how much product he had, where it was, how fast it was going to roll through that place, and as far as hard work, your whole family, you guys work hours and hours. So tell me a little bit about that piece of it and how that's just in your blood, and other points of inspiration, because I know you have some artists that you draw from quite a bit, and I want you to talk about that.
So for me, growing up, I was out of all of our cousins, I was the oldest, and so I probably experienced things, the soonest.
Sure.
And I remember with my grandfather George Rodas, still has a liquor store. He's 86 years old right now, and he's still sharp, and he still talks about things, and actually what's amazing is 86 years old. And when I talk to him, he's still planning for the future. He still has that. He still has that drive in him. I remember, literally 5 or 6 years old, going to hang out with my grandfather at the liquor store, and rotating cigarettes, and he's teaching me how to move 2 bottles and put the cold one, the warm one in the back and the cold ones in front. So all these little things as I got older and I started working with my father at the restaurant, which is a lot of inspiration for me, and a lot of work ethic with me. And my grandmother, from my father's side, she was working with us, so she was 82 years old. So from all these different sides, and my Uncle George too, I think the work ethic part of it is that you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to have a passion for what you're doing. And I think that the one thing that I've been very fortunate with my family is on both sides of our family is that they're very passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
And they take it.
It shows.
They take it all the way to the end. So for me, growing up that way, it's a part of who I am. I don't really think about. I've never thought about how many hours I work, or ever. I don't even know how many hours I work. I wake up. I have to do what I have to do, and it inspires me, and I like the challenge of it. So with me, people say, "Oh, I feel so bad for you. Work so hard." I work hard, but I don't think of it that way. I think of it as this is the challenge. This is what I want to go do. Even this project in this particular location being very underdeveloped is pretty nuts. Every demographic study would tell you that this is an actual crazy move. But to me, that's the challenge of wanting to do this. And I will see it through all the way to the end. I will make sure that I'm here every day and making sure that we have the right staff to put in place. And I think that's what identifies with the patrons. And people want to support something like that.
And people like to see people working hard. You're executing your dream, right? Speaking of hours, you told me a story. You worked a lot of hours at the beginning of this.
I still work a lot of hours, but when I first started, I remember that first, 2 or 3 years. Sleeping at the restaurant 4 nights a week. I take 4 of the chairs, line them up, a bundle of aprons as a pillow, and I was literally here, days, 4 or 5 days at a time. And for me, it was that the place, it needed a lot. It needed a lot of attention. It needed a lot of energy. And I had to learn the business myself, I remember with my dad, I could cook a lobster tail. I could shrimp and scallop sautés. We were using very, very expensive product. When I came here, I had to teach myself how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. I never made one. Never made a grilled cheese sandwich before, And it sounds like the most simple thing, but until you have the experience of doing it and executing it every day, it's part of that. So for me, it was very, very important for the hours that I put in, and I do believe that was needed. I don't think if that did not happen, I don't believe that we'd be in the situation we're in today. And through that, though, that filters through the staff. And the staff now is, unbelievable. We have the best staff in the area, hands down. They do a great job. They care. And for us, from the bus, local bus kids that we hire at 16 years old when they first come out of school, or when they're starting their work, adventure. They start here, and I am really tough on them, and I'm happy that I'm tough on them because I think that's important.
Amen, man.
So that's great. They've done a great job, and they excel, and they go on to other things. And it's pretty neat to see a bus kid now that was 16, you know, who's 26 now, who has a great job and married and different things. They come in, they say, hey, you know, I you know, got my start here at the Shanty, and I learned how to sweep a floor and how to roll silverware and how to push myself and think differently, and that what makes me happy.
That's awesome. So we were talking earlier as well, and we have something in common. You have a love for Bob Dylan, and you really you take it to the next level. So it's part of how you think about your business and who you are. So tell us a little bit about that, your Dylan influence, man.
Yeah, so who's playing at Ravinia, by the way?
Yeah.
Coming up soon. So yeah, Dylan is, I was very lucky. In college, all these kids that was around, I was a kid myself, but all these kids that are around really influenced me in a lot of different ways. You know, I grew up working a lot. So still had fun. I still hung out with my friends. I did all that. But when I got to college, even though I was still working in college, I still got a lot of experience from a lot of different things. And one of my good friends was a huge Bob Dylan fan. So he started listening to things and, you know, listening some old stuff, some mid stuff, you know, 10 years ago. And I mean, he's unbelievable. He's an unbelievable artist. And his storytelling, the way, when you listen to a Bob Dylan song, I don't care what song it is, he can literally transform you to that location. You know, you can put yourself in that place, and that is a skill.
It's a gift.
It's a gift. It's unbelievable. So for me, it's not in my restaurant with the whole Bob Dylan thing. I listen to all Bob. I have 2,000 songs. I have every single album. I mean, like, all the time I listen to it.
That's great.
There was a Woody Guthrie who is his,
Sure.
you know, icon. You know, Bob Dylan used to say when he was a little kid, you can listen to Woody Guthrie and he'll teach you how to live. You know, that old world, that mentality of just doing the right thing. And Dylan has a lot of that in his songs too. So I think that for me, it's a good inspiration. When I listen to a Dylan song, I feel like I can climb a mountain. You know what I mean? It's just it has that kind of thing. It's not like a weird fan the way I'm saying it. It's just it's amazing.
Well, it's beautiful art.
It's art.
It's
art. Yeah,
art,
it's unbelievable. Man. So, and I think what that draws me to him the most is that, you know, he constantly reinvents himself. You know, from all his career. You look at him now. I mean, he's in his 70s reinventing himself.
Right.
And if you look at the restaurant, I really try to keep the restaurant fresh. Keep bringing in new menu items. Keep bringing in new ideas, new experiences. You know, we've taken this space to the highest point it probably can right now. You know, with capacity and the amount of business that we're putting in this space. So now this next space is really going to be a playground, you know, for us, and a creative playground for us. We'll be able to do so many different things, and I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to leave a lot of surprise about it. But there's some amazing things that are going to happen in this building, and awesome. These are things that I've been thinking about for 10 years, and my job is going to be finding a balance between executing that and bringing a really nice staff in addition to the great staff we have to, you know, see this through, and we will see it through. It's going to be really exciting.
That's cool, man. Exciting times for sure, and I love the Dylan reference because it's so true. I look at people like Bowie, Miles Davis as they're constantly pushing the boundaries, expanding, changing, and that's really inspirational just in life. It's sort of a message of, you know, you got to keep moving forward. So switching gears a little bit, how did you meet Kristina?
Food Network called the Shanty. This was in 2009, and Vicky Carney, who's been here for 30 years.
Yeah, she's got her own room. Got her own
room. Yeah, she's awesome. Unbelievable. Very dedicated, hard worker, great community person. And I'm actually glad she picked up that phone that day because anyway, she picks up the phone and she says, "Hey, Dimitri, you know, this research producer called, and they want you to call them back from Food Network." And to be honest, I thought they were trying to sell me a magazine. So I was like, yeah, I got work to do, and I kind of blew it off. So then Vicky, being the persistent person she is, kind of the next day said, "Listen, you need to call this person back. This girl wants to talk to you. It's important." No. She's like, "You need to call her back." So finally I call her back, and it was for the show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And I actually felt kind of bad because I really didn't know what the show was. I don't watch much television, so I had no idea who Guy Fieri was, and I had no idea what Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives was. So when she was talking to me about it, I really wasn't clear of it. And at the time, the show was a newer show, and it was the top-rated show on Food Network. I think it's still the top-rated show on Food Network. It's a huge
My kids love that show.
Huge show. So anyway, I start talking to this girl, and we do this like 5-day interview, and it's amazing actually with that show. And credit to the show, how much research they put into these restaurants. I mean, it is amazing. There was 2,000 restaurants that were, in this area that they were interviewing and calling, and from, who buys your garlic, who puts it away.
Really?
And I was actually talking to this person on the phone. I'm like, why do you have to know all this information? And the thing is that if the show puts on restaurants that are not capable of taking care of the business, taking care of the volume of business that it comes, or they're not good, people won't want to watch the show anymore.
Yeah.
So that front research is just insane. So anyway, 5 days of talking, with this girl on the phone and about the restaurant and all these different things. After about the 3rd day, I just stopped talking about the restaurant. I was talking about my grandparents, about my dad, about the farm, about the, all these different things.
Yeah.
Probably about Dylan, all this other stuff that I like. And she was just really nice. So anyway, she pitches the show. We get picked, which was great. Went to the next level of production, get picked to do the show, which was a huge thing for us. And I kind of kept talking to her after that point, just as a friend. And a little longer. So she lived in Minnesota. That's where the show was produced at the time.
Okay.
So I flew out there and met Kristina. And just as a friend, she's a beautiful girl, and everything. We just kind of hit it off. It was crazy.
Sure.
So we started talking there. She came and visit here, and ended up dating. She ended up moving here. She has an unbelievable past in television too. She's won an Emmy for a Travel Channel show, and she's probably gonna kill me for saying that.
That's big, man.
Yeah, she's awesome. So I'm very lucky. And anyway, we started dating. We got married. We have a little baby now named Eleni, a little baby girl who's named after my mom. And then we have a little boy coming. So from that, it's pretty amazing, this full circle of, from Guy Fieri, meeting, him and working with him. And I've met a whole other group of his great friends and restaurateurs that have done the show, that we tour with a group called the Mess Lords. I have to get out on tour a little more. I've been really busy lately. But Stretch and Gorilla and Panini Pete and all these guys from all over the country.
Who are these guys?
These guys are unbelievable artists and restaurateurs and TV personalities all over the country.
Okay.
And what they did, they actually came here for dinner and we met. And they invited me to come on the road with them. I did a Cuba trip with them.
Wow.
And we basically cook for our military. And we bring different meals from our restaurants to them. Forkful of Freedom is the way they like to, market that. And it's an amazing organization. They do a great job, and they become lifelong friends of mine. So it's pretty amazing, and it's pretty amazing too to be able to work with other restaurateurs that think exactly like you do. When we go into these places and you have to feed 9,000 troops, it's pretty amazing that everyone's on the same page.
Wow, that's intense.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
amazing.
Congrats on when's your baby due?
Baby's due in July. Yeah, a little boy.
Wow, that's wonderful.
That's awesome. So my thing now is that I want to be a great restaurateur. I want to be a great father. I want to be a great husband. So I have to find a balance between all these. Time is my challenge. That's definitely my issue.
Talk a little bit about that. I mean, I'm always interested in people who own businesses and how they get it done. I mean, do you have a time management? You just wing it?
Just wake up and go to work. I work a lot of hours, and
you work close. You live close.
I live close. That helps.
So there's not a lot of commuting time.
Yeah,
right?
That helps a little bit. And my thing is that I really love what I do. I enjoy the challenge. I really enjoy the long, difficult route. I really like that challenge. I look at this, the Shanty Town, which it'll be called, by changing all the signage, the hand-carved barnwood, all the lighting gets redone, the landscaping gets redone.
Sweet.
This is something that I want to have in place for 100 years, The Shanty was kind of passed to me at the point that it was, and everyone did the best they could. Now I need to do the best that I can, until the next people take over the chain, or my kids do, or whoever, So I have to do my part. So I just look at myself as one chain link and a long link
you're
of
a steward
people.
of something.
Yeah.
Going back to There's so many cool things. I love wood. And, Craftsman, that's part of why I called this deal the Craftsman, because I'm a frustrated carpenter. I really suck at it, but I enjoy it because you get to, it's tangible. You can see what you're producing, a wall or whatever it might be. Your bar area, that's a cool story. Tell us about the bar.
So for me, I like food with character, food with a story, materials with a story, all that kind of character is what really draws me to the restaurant. You know, the feeling you get when you come to the Shanty, you know that you are nowhere else but at the Shanty. Whether it's your, the modern feel that you're looking for, it's really not, what we do here, but it's that timeless feel and that comfort of it. With the bar, when we were taking out these floors in 2010, there was actually 7 floors under this floor from all the different owners putting more. So yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
So we're taking all the floors down, put it all down. And as we were getting lower in the flooring, we noticed that the bar is sitting on 4 cinder blocks in dirt. There's no foundation. So, we get down, I'm looking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's our bar, and there's the ground, But it's that kind of stuff, to me, that is the uniqueness of the restaurant. You can't go to a lot of places and have that kind of story. And these are just stories that I've experienced in the last 10 years. I mean, there's people that come in that, they came here when they were little kids. Their parents came here when they were 19, and, they were driving to Lake Geneva for the first time. And, we have pictures here which are pretty amazing that there's no 41. There's Model Ts in the parking lot. And those type of stories is really the uniqueness of the restaurant and what I think sets us apart and the originality of the restaurant. So for us, I think with our influence and the work ethic that my family's had, my brother and my sister, work countless hours next door at Captain Porky's. They've grown that with my father. Unbelievable business. And they're expanding again, like we were saying. So I think for all of us, we've been around so many creative people between our family, and the ones that I learned the most from are the customers, the patrons. They've taught me so much stuff, and they do tell me. There's no, they stick it to me. There's no doubt about it. But I'm a guy who really likes to try to work, to live in reality. And if something's not right, I want people to tell us. And we've built our business on mistakes. If something's not right, you have to fix it. But you have to care enough to fix it. And I think that's what our edge is in our business.
That care part is critical, and it shows. I mean, when we came to talk about shooting this, you fed us, and talk a little bit about the menu, because you spoiled the hell out of us. We had a filet with these great vegetables around it. We had pork shanks. And burgundy sauce, right?
Goat cheese wontons.
And then goat cheese wontons, which were just killer. I mean, how did those things evolve?
So back to the character and storytelling of food. The goat cheese wontons is goat cheese that is from my father's farm. He has a farm in Bristol. He raises all his own animals. He milks his own goats every day, lays his own chickens every day that he brings in the eggs for. And that style, that old world, those techniques that he learned as a kid has, got into that wonton now, So I think that's that long history of it. So the goat cheese there, great. And we have fresh basil that we bring in, garlic, roasted red bell, a sweet chili sauce, and wasabi cream. So it kind of gives you this, spicy and tart and sweet and all these different things together, flavor profile. And it's very unique. You're not going to find an organic goat cheese basil stuffed wonton anywhere.
So I didn't know what to think of it.
Original,
and it just blew my mind.
And the vegetables are done in our olive oil with a little salt, pepper, and garlic. Our olive oil is coming directly from our family's trees in Greece. And that's a whole other, division.
We'll get into that a little bit, because this stuff is fantastic. I bought this as a Christmas gift for a couple buddies, and so how did this start, and was this your dad's thing? Or?
Our family has had olive trees and groves in our family for hundreds of years, 200-300 years. And my father was born in the northeast territory of Mount Thaiatos in Sparta, Greece, the historic district. And that, not because we're smart, just by basically luck of where he was, that area produces some of the best olive oil in the world. and it's very high altitude. We're growing olive trees at 6,000 feet elevation.
Really? Oh, wow.
And we produce a very low acid, 0.3 acidity olive oil, high altitude, organic certified, non-GMO certified, extra virgin, first cold pressed, pure olive oil. So that's something in our family we've had for a long time. And I just grew up using that olive oil as a kid, and my cousins and my aunts and my uncles. And I really thought that all olive oil was that way. And then when I started getting in the restaurant business,
not so.
I started finding out that that's really not true. You know, 80% of the olive oil you buy in the store is fake. Italy is the #1 exporter of olive oil in the world. They're also the #1 importer of olive oil in the world. So they buy olive oil from Spain and Tunisia and Greece. They blend that all up and pop a label on it and send it to the United States.
Oh, okay.
So for us, as we're very ingredient driven.
So let me stop you there. So what does that mean in layman's terms? Is it just diluted?
It's blended with, a lot of times it's diluted, and a lot of times that the acidity level, so what determines extra virgin olive oil is if the acidity is under 1%.
Okay.
So if the acidity is not under 1%, it's not considered extra virgin olive oil. The lower the acid, the longer the shelf life, the longer the health benefit. Oh. So what's happened is, you know, if you go to the grocery store 10 years ago, there was 5 olive oils. Now there's 500 olive oils.
Okay.
So the same companies with this whole organic boom and, you know, healthy eating, same company that produces peanut butter is now in the olive oil business.
Okay.
So for producers like our family and other small producers around the country, in the U.S. now as well as internationally, the drive for a better olive oil, a more educated consumer is starting now. And it's pretty amazing to be part of that whole process. So we're selling, you know, literally the best chefs in the country in a lot of states, hotels and great restaurants and grocery stores. Locally, you can get our products at Jewel and Mariano's and Sunset Foods. So a lot of local community. But we also sell overseas and private label. We do a lot of different things. But our family is basically known for a green, early harvest, extra virgin olive oil. And we've been producing it for many years. So in 2011, I flew back to Greece with my wife, and we started a bottling company there, and everything is done on site. It's amazing. So we're super excited about it.
So how did that? So were you selling locally for a long time, and then you decided
we were not.
to?
You know, we were just bringing,
doing it for yourself.
We were bringing olive oil just for our house and our family and our restaurant.
Okay.
And we were, you know, selling bulk oil to buyers in Europe.
Got it.
And I literally woke up in the middle of the night 4 years ago, told my wife we're going to Greece, start an olive oil company in 5 days. Thought I was crazy. I bought the tickets. We left the next morning. In 5 days, we started our company. And it's growing every day. It's amazing.
Amazing. I know you're working. I've read different pieces in the paper, certainly on your Facebook page and things like that, where you're Gene and Giorgetti's, the Drake. All those hot spots in the city are using your stuff.
Yeah,
but where did the name come from?
So Lonely Olive Tree Organics. So our original grove, our highest point, is called Monachilia, and Monachilia in Greek, the direct translation is the Lonely Olive Grove, and it sits literally the top of Mount Theotos. So when we converted this into an English name for the company, I thought the most fitting name would be our oldest and, you know, most prominent field, and it's been our family for years. So it was just the exact translation is Lonely Olive Tree. And people seem to really like the name a lot too. So you kind of see the name, the logo, the feel. We have a great team in Greece, you know, from our miller to our design team that works with me every day. I drive them crazy every day on the phone, but it's amazing, you know. And for me, to be honest, the reason I got in the olive oil business is if we made money, that was the secondary part of it.
Right.
It was that I wanted my kids, who I have now, you know, to go back to the old country and experience the village and the humbleness of it. And it's been amazing. And the people that I met through this company, it's unreal, you know. So it's just a lot of great longtime friends and artists and ceramicists and soap makers. Now we're doing olive oil soaps now and our olives, and just it's a purity. Not only the product's pure, but the people that I'm working with have this purity to them that is so inspiring to me.
Yeah, that's wonderful, man. Speaking of names, I got to bring you back to your Uncle George, or maybe it was your dad.
Okay.
So I'm a dog guy, and I remember very vividly Lita.
Yeah.
Who was the Rottweiler in Gurnee Liquor Store.
Yep.
So when we delivered there, she was always there.
Yeah.
And she was just a great dog, and I'll just never forget her. So I know there's a connection there that I didn't realize until I was talking to you earlier.
So my father has also raised fully bred German Rottweilers for years, 1980s, 1990s.
Does he still do that?
He does not now. He's farming. Now he does goats and chickens. But actually, the reason he got out of it was that he couldn't find other full-bred German Rottweilers to breed to. So that's why if he couldn't do it properly, he didn't want to do it anymore, so he was out of it. But he's raised some unbelievable lines of dogs. Lyra was his first dog. So Lyra, my parents say that Lyra was their first child, and then I was the second child. So, And Lyra is a gold coin, European gold coin, Greek coin. And if on her, she actually had a chain with all these gold, Lyra's on her, so that was the name. So Lita is the Greek pronunciation. Lyra is what kind of the English translation came to.
Okay.
And my Uncle George and my dad started the liquor store in 1983, which is still there, and it's their 40th year. It's amazing. My Uncle George is awesome. And Lyra was like the dog. She was the character of that place. She was kind of the guard dog, and it's amazing. And actually, our corporation for the Shanty is called Lyra and Family Incorporated after her. So Lyra was awesome.
Man, I love how you guys just tie it all in.
It's all storytelling.
It's
it's cool.
It's beautiful.
It's cool. Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's meaningful stuff. And you said that well earlier, where so much of marketing now is I don't know, sometimes it's contrived. And what I love about how you roll and how you think about your business is there's just a real authenticity. And I think that's what really ultimately attracts people to other people and businesses, certainly, because your personality is there, your passion is there. And I know that, I do, and I know a lot of friends that come here often, and Wadsworth as a whole, I grew up right down the street in Zion, you root for people like that. Yeah. They're just the real deal. Your grandpa was the real deal. He's just a kind, thoughtful guy. George is nice. Buddy's a good friend of mine. And I think it really it comes through.
I think the thing too is that even for the success here is that outside of the staff doing a great job and the community, is that a lot of these patrons have known parts of our family, have known my grandfather for 40 years, when they took care of you for your party, or my Uncle George when he takes care of you when you need something, or my father cooking you a piece of shrimp at 10 o'clock at night when we're closed, but he was still doing it. So all these different things is that I really have to carry that on, and my brother and my sister do too. So my Aunt Renee, who started Captain Porky's with my father, has Mama Kay's in Gurnee. She's doing an unbelievable job with my cousin, and they do great job. So all those things working together with her and my cousins and us, it's kind of been embedded in us, and now it's our turn to kind of take on that part. And we have to have all of my aunts and my dad retire, but I don't think we're going to do it.
Good luck with that.
We're trying to get them all retired.
So George is 86 and he's not gone yet,
right? My grandma's 86 and he's still, trying to call shots and do everything he can. So, but
I got to tell you this real quick. He used to float me money. I'm serious. He was just
generous guy.
Just super generous.
He is.
And we spent a lot of time there because they sold a lot of product. It was when Miller Lite and Genuine Draft was at the peak. I don't think it does nearly that amount anymore.
I think too with my grandfather too is the one thing that I've learned from him probably the most, and I've been around him the most out of all my grandparents, is that his focus on longevity. He looks at everything. He's very patient. I'm not very patient, but I'm kind of learning to be patient. But just showing up to work every day, going to work, putting an honest day of work in, treating people right, treating people fairly. For here, we're not the most expensive place. We're not the cheapest place. I think we're a fair place. I think that we'll give you a fair shake on whether it's a catering party or this new expansion we're doing. We're promoting a new wine list. We have David Fulton, who's unbelievable. He's a dentist in the area, has a passion for wine. These type of the people that I want to deal with on my new expansion. And for us, we have a lot of great artists that I've met through the years. We have painters, we have ceramicists, we have poets, we have chefs, we have all these different people we met. And this is Shanty Town. I want to become basically a culinary village for people to come in and express themselves. You know, if you're a nutritionist, we'd love to come in and, you know, talk to us about, you know, healthy eating.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, it's going to be a learning process for me. I'm going to give as much as I can to it and learn along the way. And I think it's going to be an unbelievable location for people that are coming to the restaurant to have that full experience of, you know, executing all these different types of things dealing with food.
Yeah, speaking of artists, one last thing. You have a lot of very creative people, like you said, that are patrons here, customers here. Don't you have an author? Are you guys doing a book?
So we have a book coming out. The first chapter comes out at the end of May, and it is called Shanty Town, A Restaurant Story.
Okay.
And it's pretty amazing. It's written by Charlie Sally, who is a unbelievable author, longtime Lake County author, and writer, and he worked for the New Sun. And he is basically writing this perspective of Shanty Town, but as it sits within the community. So, I'm one aspect of this book. And I mean, it's my idea to do this book, but I really want to be kind of more in towards the back. I'm going to kind of start it off on how I see the perspective of the town. And we have, you know, interviews from Linda Smith, Temple Smith's daughter, Lynn Penrith, who is also a part owner here with the gas station, with Mobile, who we purchased from. Campanella and Sons, that, you know, Pete and Pat Campanella will be interviewed. So all these different people that have been living in this town for a long time, and I think it's important because Wadsworth is basically the last of these types of towns, and I don't want to see it become a drive-through town. So I've done, you know, between the television exposure and all the magazines and stuff we've been in, I'm very, very, very serious about always mentioning Wadsworth and really putting us, you know, as a focal point here because it's an important town. Yeah,
no doubt. It is an important town, and it's important because of people like you. So you have, so you've been here 10 years, and I know that you hired people right out of the gate. They're still here, and you have a lot of staff that have been here, like you mentioned, Vicky.
Yeah.
She's been here for 30
years. 30 years this year.
30 years this year. Talk a little bit about how you get this done. I mean, you don't do it alone.
No, and I think the important thing is that, you know, sometimes, which is unfair, is that, you know, the owner or they kind of take a lot of the credit for stuff. So, you know, I am one member of a very important team that executes things every day. From Vicky being here for 30 years, Vicky Carney, to Debbie DeRue, who's been here 25 years this year.
Wow.
You know, I hired 80% of the front of the house staff the first week I was here. And a lot of them are celebrating their 10-year anniversary with me, and 8 years now, and 7 years, and 6 years. And you know, they've become the face of the place. You know, and I think that's really, really important. Our chef Brad Trowbridge does a great job. He came in right out of culinary school.
Really?
And he's rose all the way up the ranks, you know, to being the executive chef now. We have Raul in the back, who does an awesome job. And all these guys too, you know, it's all of us working together, you know, to try to put out the best product we can, best service we can. And really, if I didn't have the staff I have, you know, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing here. You know, it's not just about me. It's not just about, you know, our family. It's about the community. It's about our staff. It's the longevity of them. So I really look at everything. It's a lot of pressure on me at sometimes, you know. There's a lot of people that depend on me. But, you know, I do the best I can for my family. I also do the best I can for my staff. And I think that's what the patrons really want to support about it. You know, I got one really cool story I got to tell you. It's awesome. So
please.
About my grandpa too. So the second year I was here, it was Easter Sunday, and we were supposed to close. And there was a bunch of guys at the bar, and I ended up staying open. So my grandma's calling, my grandpa George's wife, and she's calling. She's like, "Hey, where you at? You know, this is ridiculous. You can't work on Easter. You got to close. You know, what are you doing at work? You know, we're waiting for you to eat." And this is a big Greek, you know, Easter whole thing.
She's saying that to you?
Called the restaurant. George? He's called the restaurant to me, saying that I need to go, you know, go to her house for Easter. What are you doing open? So you know, the place had probably 20 people in it, and all good friends of ours, and who would become good friends of ours. I told them, "Listen, guys, here's the deal. My grandma's yelling at me. It's Easter. I gotta leave, you know. So I'm gonna leave you guys here. There's no one here except for me. I'm gonna leave you guys here. This is how you know, sweep the floor. This is what you do with the register. Just clean up, turn off the lights, and, you know, I'll see you guys tomorrow. You know, I appreciate it." And I left. So anyway, I go to Easter, and my grandpa's driving home, and he drives by the restaurant. There's a lot of people in the parking lot, and he gets to his house. You know, he was coming from the liquor store. And he says, hey, you guys open? I said, no. And this is 2 years into being in business.
Yeah.
He goes, well, why are all the cars in the parking lot? I go, well, I left the customers there. He goes, what's wrong with you? You left the customers there? He goes, without anyone there, they're going to steal from you. I go, no, they won't steal from me. These guys are different. The next morning I came in, there was $650 in the register. Everything was swept. All the bar was cleaned up. All the lights were off, and the door was locked.
Wow.
There's not one restaurant in America that you can say
oh
that you can do
gosh,
that.
That's an awesome story, man.
The patrons own the restaurant. I work here. Our staff works here. And they are the ones that really gear what we do. So we're very, very fortunate that we have people that care about something as much as they do. And that's why we're reinvesting, the money we've made in the last 10 years back into the building for them.
I mentioned you spoiled us like crazy. I love the menu, and I've tried new things here, which is I'm usually a Reuben guy, or a fish guy, or a hamburger. I came in and had pulled pork sandwich the other day. But tell us a little bit about the menu, because you've got some wonderful stuff on there. Yeah,
so we're on our 11th menu in 10 years, and we do a lot of different natural ingredients, a lot of organic ingredients. Our olive oil is served on the table every night after 4 o'clock. That we're importing directly from specific groves in our fields, directly to the restaurant. It's very important. Ingredients are a very big part of our restaurant. Local ingredients, and we do on Saturday nights we do farm to table program. We have local farmers, Peterson Grain Farm. They raise animals for us. So my father. We do a lot of different things. We get everything certified, packed, brought into the restaurant, and those are the type of things that you can't find other places.
Yeah.
So I think a mix of that, comfort of the local community and local farmers and growers. Wild mushrooms are going to be in season now. Captain Porky's coming up. All these types of things are what really ties people back to food, that experience of that happiness of eating something. So for us, my style of cooking, which is different than Brad's. Brad is very technical, and he really likes to cook comfort food, which our customers really like. For me, I like more the creative comfort food, and that's where Brad's great with it. With me, I like to go a little different, more the artistic twist on things. The different flavor profiles, and you had a filet mignon with local herb butter, and Guinness pan stout sauces, our roasted chili sauce, our whiskey shrimp, tequila and orange salmon, which is a dish that I'm really happy of. We did that dish 8 years ago for a television spot that needed a tequila thing. Tequila dish, and I was in my mom's kitchen. I grabbed 5 ingredients out of her fridge, came up with tequila and salmon, still one of the top selling dishes.
Wow.
Braised pork shank is an unbelievable item on our new menu. That was an idea that I had that Brad took and really took the technical side of it, the way it was seared and pickled Brussels sprouts, and that's a 6.5-hour braised pork shank, apple brandy cranberry reduction sauce.
It's good.
Really nice, so all those type of things. But again, though, it's back to the team effort. Nothing happens with one person doing it all. It's all of us collectively working together and, trying to put out the best thing we can.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for everything, man, for the food, for your hospitality.
Appreciate it.
You guys are great, and I really appreciate your time.
So before you leave, we are going to take, this is this season's olive oil, and I want you to try this.
So we're going to do a shot of olive oil.
We're going to do a shot of olive oil right now.
I'm Irish,
It's okay. Oh, that's perfect then. So this is harvested this season.
Okay.
This is early harvest, extra virgin olive oil directly from our family's groves in Sparta, Greece. It's actually bought on an airplane. So this is really, really fresh stuff.
Super fresh, yeah.
Enjoy.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
That's smooth, man.
Good stuff.
That is smooth. That's good for you, too.
Really good for you. You should take one of these before you go to bed every night.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
New tradition. Thanks again, man.
Thank you very much.
That's a wrap, George.